Live from WTOC, the Southeast news leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us here for the news on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley. We do start off 2026 with some serious news. Savannah police arrested a woman after a shooting that sent a man to the hospital on New Year's Eve. Here's what we know. Savannah police say around 9:30 last night, officers responded to the 1900 block of Quincy Street. That was based off of ShotSpotter reports. When police arrived on scene, they found a male victim had been taken to a hospital by a private car. Officials do say he is in stable condition. Now, the suspect in the shooting, an adult woman, was found near the scene and arrested. SPD says the investigation is ongoing, and anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 912-234-2020, or you could submit an anonymous tip through the SPD's mobile app. Well, we have two overnight fires to tell you about. Both of them happened in Beaufort County. First, a family has lost their home in Beaufort County as emergency crews responded to a house fire on Glaze Drive in Burton. Firefighters entered the home searching for anyone trapped inside. An adult woman and two children escaped prior to crews getting there. The adult woman was taken to the hospital by Beaufort County EMS for non-life-threatening injuries. The fire is still under investigation, and that was only the first fire of the night. Officials say just after midnight, while crews were still cleaning up the fire on Glaze Drive, Burton Fire responded to another fire at the Bay Mobile Home Park on Shanklin Road. It happened after a family of 5 noticed smoke inside their home before getting ready for bed. The Burton Fire District says they arrived on scene and saw neighbors trying to put out the flames, which were coming from underneath the home. Firefighters were able to extinguish the fire before it spread inside the home itself. No injuries were reported, and the cause of the fire is under investigation. Well, the new year brings new state laws for Georgia homeowners and taxpayers. Some of those new laws in 2026 include a decrease in state income tax and some help for homeowners when it comes to storm preparation. Niamani Watson with our sister station has the details.
Georgia's flat state income tax will once again drop from 5.19% to 5.09%. It's part of a plan to get it under 5% by 2027. If you own a home, this new law could help if it's damaged by a natural disaster. Georgians are now allowed to open a catastrophe savings account. One of the bill's sponsors, Senator Larry Walker III, says it allows homeowners to pay for the cost of repairs not covered by insurance.
And to feel comfortable going with a higher deductible on their homeowner's insurance to get that homeowner's insurance premium down.
The bill went into effect in July of last year, but applies to taxable years starting today. Speaking of insurance, companies are now required to give policyholders a 60-day notice before their policies are terminated instead of 30 days. Other new laws deal with politics ahead of this year's midterm elections. The State Ethics Commission will no longer accept complaints made about candidates or their campaigns within 60 days of an election. Lastly, private property owners can now boot trespassing vehicles in cities that allow it. The owners are required to post warnings.
If your 2026 resolution involves budgeting, you might want to take note of some of the federal changes happening today. Social Security recipients are getting a 2.8% cost of living increase. The administration's earnings test, wage cap, and maximum benefit also are going up. But Medicare Part B premium costs are rising almost $18 a month. Meanwhile, millions of people on Obamacare are facing much steeper costs. Pandemic-era Obamacare subsidies are gone as of today. Meanwhile, this is the first regular tax season with changes in effect from a bill signed back in July. They include higher standard deductions as well as new breaks for seniors, car loan interest, tips, and overtime. A proclamation sent out yesterday delays tariff hikes on some furniture and kitchen cabinets and vanities that were set to begin today. Finally, the president's travel ban is now expanded to 39 countries. And as we just mentioned, 2026 also means that healthcare costs are set to go up for many, with the end of tax credits that helped low-income families afford their insurance through the Affordable Care Act. Jen Sullivan looks at how much more you could end up paying and the options to help bring down those costs.
Millions of Americans will be paying more for health insurance this year. That's because tax credits that help people pay for plans on the federal marketplace, known as Obamacare, have expired.
Sadly, it's no longer going to be affordable.
Jeremy Coolish says he lost his job in the spring, forcing him and his wife to get insurance through the marketplace. He says their current plan costs $392 with tax credits, but those subsidies are now gone.
Without subsidies, it would be something like $1,608.
Millions of Americans are in a similar dilemma. KFF estimates 24 million people signed up for insurance through the Affordable Care Act in 2025. Of those enrollees, roughly 92% received subsidies. Without those tax credits, KFF says average annual premium costs could rise by 114%.
People simply can't afford some of the premiums that have been happening in this coming year.
Zonjanice Jacobs is an insurance navigator in Florida. Every state employs navigators who are available to answer your questions for free.
They know what kind of prescriptions they're going to need or what kind of doctor's appointments they're going to need to go to or other procedures that they're going to have. We make sure that we walk through the process by looking at each one of those plans that fit within the confines of their budget.
Here are some other options. Many states have expanded the income qualifications for Medicaid. Go to healthcare.gov/lower costs to see if you qualify. Private insurance plans, lower premiums, but out-of-pocket costs may be higher and there may be more services not covered. Short-term medical plans, low monthly premium costs, but very high deductibles. To help lower prescription costs, many big pharmacies recommend using coupons through GoodRx. It's free. And AARP also offers free prescription discount cards. In New York, I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
And another heads up for the new year, the USPS is changing its postmark process, which could affect the way you send important mail such as bills and ballots. For decades, the postmark used to show when mail was accepted by the post office. It was used as proof that an individual met a deadline, such as a ballot on Election Day. However, now the postmark will reflect the date an envelope is first processed by an automatic sorting machine, not the drop-off date. Time-sensitive mail should now be mailed several days before a given deadline. And if you have student loans, you should take note because the White House will begin wage garnishments for those in default this month. With this renewed enforcement, employers may now be required to withhold a portion of your paycheck and send it directly to your loan servicer. Thousands of borrowers have already received notices, and that number is expected to climb each month. Well, if you've already made your New Year's resolution or perhaps a vision board, you're not alone. But here's the challenge. Many of us do fail those resolutions before the month ends. But here's the thing. Your brain might actually be working against you, so you might want to consider a different style of goal setting. Resolutions have been around for just about 4,000 years. That's according to Clemson professor Danny Weathers. But streaks, well, those are pretty new. Apps like Duolingo, MyFitnessPal, and Strava for running are turning goal setting into a game with notifications to remind you to keep playing. For some people in the low country, those reminders work. That pressure to keep a streak is what motivates them. But for others, it's about meeting a long-term goal instead of a daily one. Professor Weathers says the key to starting a resolution is defining one specific action to consistently do. Daily reminders can build lasting habits if that motivates you.
I did a survey of people who have daily streaks of running at least 1 mile, and there was over 40% of the people in the survey who began their streaks on January 1st. People feel pressure to keep up their streaks. It's a bigger goal, and people like to achieve goals. So we have the daily behavior is a short-term goal, maintaining the streak is a longer-term goal. So people are motivated for that reason, but not all people are equally motivated by streaks.
Experts say you should start small with your resolutions. Pick one action, set that daily reminder, and give yourself permission to find what motivates you, whether that's starting a streak or a more long-term goal.
Keeps Georgia on my mind.
Well, the song of the Peach State is officially in the public domain. Georgia on My Mind was composed by Hoagie Carmichael and its lyrics by Stuart Gorrell, and it was first published 1 century ago in 1930. However, Ray Charles' timeless rendition was recorded in 1960, so that version is still under copyright protection. Turning now to sports, the fans are in, the vibes are high, and the stage is set in the Big Easy. Tonight, the Georgia Bulldogs and the Ole Miss Rebels are going head-to-head in a Sugar Bowl brawl. Georgia faces Ole Miss for the second time this season. For those interested, the Dogs are 4-0 under Kirby Smart when they play a rematch against a team in the same season. There are so many storylines in this game. The Rebels playing without their head coach Lane Kiffin. Gunnar Stockton returns to the stadium where he got his first career start in last year's Sugar Bowl. Ole Miss also scored the second most amount of points against Georgia, 35. Since that game in October, nobody scored more than 21 points against the Dogs. And after last night's quarterfinal game, the teams now know who waits for them if they survive and advance. That'd be the Miami Hurricanes. Also should note, I've been checking ESPN throughout the day. Oregon currently leads Texas Tech 13-0 right now. If that score holds, the teams with the bye in the first round would be 0-6 all-time in the expanded playoff. So Georgia could be the first team ever to be a team that gets a bye and ultimately win. That's, of course, score we'll be following throughout the day. And then Alabama, Indiana later. That's going to be a good one as well. All right, well, this is a story we've been talking about a whole lot over the last week or so here on WTOC+. Monks are continuing their peace walk. They arrived in Snellville, Georgia yesterday, and crowds lined the streets to welcome the 19 monks as they made their way to a Buddhist temple there for a very special celebration. Nikel Williams has the story.
As the monks walked from Decatur to visit one of their own, a man who can no longer walk beside them says his spirit never left their path.
I'm very proud, first and foremost, to partake in this Walk of Peace project. Since day one, I have felt that it is very important with the inner peace and the time that this group of monks have devoted to promote the world peace within our community.
Venerable Mahadam was walking with the monks in Texas last month when he was seriously injured in an accident. Since then, he's followed the journey from afar, watching each stop, each community, and each message of peace.
I'm just overwhelmed with the feeling of getting the message across about spreading peace, compassion, love, harmony, and again, community gathering.
The monks this week received overwhelming support in Georgia and across Metro Atlanta. On Wednesday, strangers honored Venerable Mahadam, communities coming together, opening their hearts to donate essentials and even showers and volunteering. Venerable Mahadam says the response is deeply moving.
I'm very, very proud that we are already making an impact to every community that the Walk of Peace monks have come across. Me sitting here watching, words can't even express how proud I am of this message about world peace, which is what we need right now.
He also spoke with us about his accident.
No regrets. I made the decision coming into this knowing the risk, knowing that if anything is going to happen to me, I'd be willing to sacrifice that.
As he waited for the monks to arrive in Snellville, Venerable Mahadam was hopeful.
My hope is for that everyone who has seen, experienced, and witnessed this project through Walk for Peace will continue to learn, continue to understand, and to practice within their daily lives internally the understanding of what peace is and to always continue to do good.
For him, the Walk for Peace didn't end. It simply took a different form.
And that Snellville, Georgia-based monk does plan to ultimately meet up with the group of 19 once they make it to their final destination in Washington, D.C., which is expected to be in February. All right, well, before we sign off here on WTOC+, wanted to show you this because 2026 started with a splash at Tybee Island. Residents and visitors flocked to the pier to welcome the new year in a wet and refreshing way by running right into the Atlantic Ocean. This annual event, called the Polar Plunge, is a huge tradition on the island, and it all started 26 years ago. Now today, before everyone raced into the ocean, Tybee Island Main Street organized a costume contest and a parade known as the Gang of Goofs event. As you can see, people dressed in all different kinds of get-ups, from onesies to inflatable outfits. And yes, they did end up running into the water in those costumes as well. And after that plunge, hopefully everyone's feeling refreshed and ready for 2026. And with that, we are going to wrap things up here for this show on WTOC Plus. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for a recap of some of those stories. We'll be back in just about 40 minutes at the top of the hour for Welcome to Our Community with Dawn Baker. And in the meantime, you can always head on over to our website, WTOC.com, to catch the latest. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.